welcome everyone to the Mobilizz and HAAS Alert Safety Cloud webinar. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Today we're going to be talking about safety cloud protection for Mobilizz fleets. And I'm privileged and excited to be joined by Chris Candy from Mobilizz. Before we dive in here, Chris, I want to kind of give you the floor. Obviously, we're joined by many of the customers that you serve. And I'd like to give you the opportunity to just kind of level set here and let everyone know why we're here today.
Great. Thank you, Brock. And thank you, everybody, for taking your time out of your day today to join us on this webinar. Safety is paramount with us at Mobilizz to the point that it is our vision statement, safety, safer connected roads for all. And so many of you have, I'm sure, been driving down the road and have seen a safety vehicle, tow truck, utility truck, police vehicle, and so on the side of the road with their lights on, and have probably never really given it much thought as to the safety of what they're doing on the side of the road. Yesterday, actually, I saw an article that said in the province of British Columbia in Canada, which is only about 5 million people, in the last decade alone, they've seen 9 roadside workers killed and 239 injured seriously enough that they were required to take time off of work. And so these are not only your employees, but these are someone's friends, someone's parent, loved one, and they're really taking their lives in their hands literally by working on the side of the road. And so we've never seen a company that has been able to improve the safety quite like HAAS Alerts does. We've got some current customers currently using their system, and it's had an immediate tremendous impact. And I think what they are offering, plus their integration into the telematics systems, which all of you currently have deployed in your vehicles, is just an immediate and I think lasting impact that you can really have by implementing this solution by HAAS Alert. And so we wanted to bring Brock and HAAS on today just to give a quick background as to who they are, their company, what they do, and how this can really start to benefit your fleet. So without further ado, Brock, back over to you.
Thanks so much, Chris. I couldn't have asked for a better introduction. And as Chris mentioned here, one of the wonderful things about our partnership with Mobilizz is that it's incredibly easy to take advantage of this solution through the solutions that you're already using. And so that's exactly what we're going to talk about today is what Safety Cloud is, how it works, and how this sort of fits into the broader ecosystem of efforts that fleet managers are employing in order to keep both their fleet safe, but also, most importantly, the crew that's operating your fleet. And so we'll dive right in here. Just for level setting agenda here, we're going to step through a little bit, who we are and what we do. Want to talk a little bit about the problem that Safety Cloud is focused on solving, and then why Safety Cloud really makes a difference for fleets. You'll see here we have a section here set aside for Q&A. Most of you are probably familiar with Zoom because we all went through COVID together. But if you're not, you'll see that there's a toolbox at the bottom of your screen in Zoom for Q&A. If you have questions, you can submit them there. And then when we get to the end here, we'll be happy to work through those questions and answer them directly for you. So what you're looking at here are collision stats from the United States of America. As Chris mentioned, this is actually something that impacts communities everywhere, everywhere from Canada and the United States to international markets. But here at Safety Cloud, we originally started in the United States with a focus on really addressing one of the core problems on the roads, which is responder safety on the side of the road. And when you take a look at actually the statistics of the number of incidents every year that involve collisions and fatal collisions with either emergency response vehicles, roadside assistance vehicles, or work zones, the numbers come to nearly 300,000. The reality is that, as you all know, working on the side of the road is one of the most dangerous things that anyone can do in our modern world here. And depending on how much time you're spending on the side of the road doing incident response every day, the danger of that work goes up dramatically because of the fact that drivers drive faster than ever, cars are more insulated than ever. And unfortunately, we live in a world now where even though we have safer cars, we have deadlier roads. I can say just in the United States alone, we found over the last few years, as I'm sure many of you are well aware, the traffic fatalities have begun to spike, and we're typically looking at about 45,000 fatal collisions every year on our roads. One of the challenges is that this is happening at the same time as sirens and lights are more sophisticated than ever. So we have these tools that we've used as crews to alert drivers to our presence on the side of the road for quite some time. And we also have slow down, move over laws too. 20 years ago, slow down, move over laws were not a sort of a policy that states had adopted. Now, every state in the country and most international countries have some form of slow down or move over law. And so this spike in fatalities that we're seeing, and the spike in specifically emergency responder and roadside fatalities that we're experiencing, is happening in spite of all the work that we all do to educate drivers about slow down, move over laws, to protect responders with lights and sirens, and to make these vehicles safer. So fundamentally, what we're talking about here is distracted driving. The leading cause of collisions with fleets like yours that work on the side of the road is simply drivers not seeing and noticing and paying attention to these hazards as they approach them. Excuse me. You know, when we take a look at a few different ways of looking at this problem, 90% of drivers state that they are confident that they know the details of move over laws. So we know this isn't about drivers not understanding that they have to slow down and move over, but we know that every day there's at least 301 either roadside fleet or towing collisions just in the United States alone. Every 60 seconds, 27 responders are at risk, up to 38,000 per day. And every 7 minutes in the United States alone, a disabled vehicle is struck by an oncoming driver. And so this is sort of the problem state that we're experiencing, and that crews like yours and fleets like yours are experiencing when you go into work every day. So what is Safety Cloud? Well, the purpose of Safety Cloud is to essentially deliver real-time alerts to drivers inside their vehicle as they are approaching roadside incidents to lessen the likelihood of collision. So one way to look at this is the work that you've always relied on your lights and sirens to do, the work that we use things like traffic cones and arrow boards to do. Fundamentally, these tools are all about getting the attention of drivers, and digital alerting is just another layer that sits on top of all of those and complements and enhances them. And the whole purpose of this is to get the attention of a driver inside their vehicle early enough so that they have some time to slow down and move over before they reach you at that roadside incident or hazard. So what you see here is the universe of assets and fleet types that are using a solution like Safety Cloud to stay safe in the road. We actually started in fire here at HAAS Alert. Our solution now comes standard on the vast majority of new fire engines. But as we began to understand towing and roadside assistance, work zone fleets, utility fleets, construction fleets, really sort of expanding the universe of fleets that are not only at risk on the side of the road, but are already trying to use methods to get the attention of drivers and alert them. We began to understand that actually Safety Cloud is a unified solution for all of those drivers, and I should say all of those fleets. And fundamentally, this is about getting the alerts from those fleets inside the vehicle. So how does that work? Well, we have a solution called R2V, Responder to Vehicle Digital Alerting, and it tethers directly to your vehicle or light bar so that whenever you activate your light bar, in real time, that is communicating with our cloud to tell us there is an active emergency or alerting asset right here in this spot. And then we use that data to alert drivers as they approach that spot to tell them that there's something ahead they need to slow down and move over for. We deliver these alerts in a few different ways. Whenever we first started, we began by alerting on Waze, and we still alert on Waze today. Safety Cloud is actually the largest vendor of hazard data to Waze globally. So most of the time, if you're driving on the road, if you get a pop-up alert that says there's some kind of tow vehicle ahead or emergency vehicle ahead, oftentimes if you open that up, you'll see that attribution there that it's coming from HAAS Alert. We will always alert on Waze because the truth is that we want all drivers to be able to receive these alerts no matter what they're driving. And Waze is a free to use app. And so this is a way for all drivers to benefit from these alerts. Last year, we also added Apple Maps. And so now Apple Maps also receives these alerts from us in real time. And drivers that are using Apple Maps for navigation also get these pop-up alerts now to warn them that there's a hazard ahead. But the real breakthrough here is in automotive alerting. And now we are directly in the vehicles for 1.8 million vehicles across North America from leading brands, including Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler. So these alerts are really the future of digital alerting. We believe that drivers ideally should not have to use a mobile device to get these alerts. We don't want them to have to use a third-party app. And by working directly with automakers, we can actually have these alerts pop up in the screen. And so as drivers are organically driving down the road, if they encounter any kind of hazard that is equipped with Safety Cloud and it has its light bar on, they're going to get a targeted alert in their vehicle about 30 seconds before they reach that hazard to tell them that there's something ahead that they need to be cautious of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you very quickly here. Oh, and this is just to go to show you, we're also working with automakers that are using Android Auto to begin delivering alerts through those systems too. And so that's a lot of the work that we do here at Safety Cloud, is building the connection between the fleets that are delivering these alerts and the OEMs that are actually trying to receive these alerts and provide them to drivers. So I'm going to show you a couple of videos here. This first one is an example of what an alert looks like in a Jeep, Dodge, Ram, or Chrysler vehicle. And I'll turn this up.
Right, and another emergency is coming.
Playing the Coliseum at the Single Trials back in May. We're going to get you to one of the shows. Then you do.
Wonderful. So you may or may not have heard that. So the way that these alerts work is whenever a driver is in one of these 1.8 million vehicles that are equipped to receive this, even if they're listening to music, even if they have navigation up on the screen, no matter what they're doing, they're going to hear an audible ding and they're going to see a pop-up alert that tells them, hey, there's something ahead. And so this is live now across North America, both the United States and Europe. I'm sorry, both the United States and Canada. This shows you what those alerts look like organically in Waze. You'll probably be able to hear the audible alert as well here too, so I'll show you.
Watch out, vehicle stopped on road ahead.
So there you go. So through Safety Cloud, this particular responding vehicle, as soon as they turn on their light bar, Safety Cloud is placing that data point on the Waze map, and it's tethered to that audible alert. And so drivers, as they are approaching that incident, get the benefit of both the visual alert and then the audible alert as well. The other great thing about our Waze integration is the second that you turn off your light bar or whatever trigger you're using to trigger Safety Cloud alerts, that point comes right off of the map. So all of this is automated. It's completely passive in the background. There's no extra step that your crew or your fleet has to take. This is just enabled by that system. So when you think about what is the impact of this for a roadside fleet, well, the truth is that today, without Safety Cloud, roadside fleets and utility fleets and responders that are working on the side of the road are completely reliant on those light bars and sirens to get the attention of drivers. But with Safety Cloud, whenever drivers are receiving these alerts 30 seconds in advance of an incident, it gives them much more time to proactively slow down and move over. And we find that that has actually a very positive follow-on effect on the rest of traffic. So when we actually go to measure the impact of digital alerting, what we find is that this has a transformational effect on the safety of a roadside crew. There's data from the University of Minnesota that shows that whenever drivers receive an advance alert, in addition to seeing a light bar, the likelihood of a crash is 90% lower because that is coupled with that sort of proactive warning to tell them that there's something ahead of them. Last year, we did a study with Purdue University that was released throughout 2021, actually. And what Purdue University did was they found that whenever there were roadside incidents on Indiana highways, there was a 26-fold increase in the likelihood of a secondary collision. And so for a 3-month period, they deployed Q trucks ahead of their roadside incidents, and they tested them with and without digital alerts to actually measure the impact on driver behavior. And what they found was that when they used digital alerting, no matter if it was day or night, rain or storm or sun, whenever they used digital alerting, hard braking events, so that is drivers sort of hitting on their brakes as they approach an incident, reduced by 80%. And what was remarkable about that number was at the time, we were only alerting on Waze. And so Purdue estimated that only about 30% of drivers at the time were proactively receiving those alerts. So what that tells us is that you don't have to alert all drivers. If you actually get a critical mass of drivers that receive this alert, it has a network of drivers as they're approaching that incident. That funded our deployment in one particular department, Washington, D.C. There was a 25% reduction whenever a responder or a driver received an alert within that first second after. So the bottom line is that digital alerting immediately lowers the likelihood of a collision by reducing the risk, reducing the speed, and giving drivers more time to slow down and move over. Now, the question is how do you upfit a fleet to actually be equipped to send these alerts? For a very, very long time, we had a transponder, and that transponder was something that you had to directly install in your vehicle and tether to your light bar. But now through integrations with platforms like Geotab, and specifically with firms like Mobilizz that are sort of leading the way in upfitting fleets to be safer and smarter, we can now offer a direct integration through that platform. And so if you are already using Geotab to manage your fleet, Safety Cloud is simply something that you can activate on Geotab. It doesn't require additional hardware installation. It doesn't require you to go and put your vehicle out of service. This is something that you can just equip and enable through the connectivity that you've already deployed so that you actually get more out of that investment. One of the great things also is that Safety Cloud typically runs fleets about $1 to $1.50 per vehicle per day. But when you're activating on something like Geotab, the cost goes much lower. It actually kind of cuts in half. And so, you know, your Mobilizz representative can work with you to get pricing for your fleet. But on average, fleets are typically paying about $15 to $20 per month for full-time coverage on every single run. There's no additional data charges. There's no per alerting fee or anything like that. It is a flat fee for protection all the time. One of the other benefits of our system is for fleets that are equipped with Safety Cloud, in addition to the digital alerting and the protection that comes with that, you also gain access to a custom dashboard that comes with Safety Cloud. And within that dashboard, you can actually access real-time statistics about your fleet performance. So you can go in there and see how many drivers have received alerts from you in the past month, how many incidents that you've run, your average time on scene was. Obviously, some of these statistics are already enabled through platforms like Geotab. Geotab is an incredibly powerful platform for fleet management, but this is just sort of one more element of data that you can weave into that to track the performance and sort of the efficiency of your fleet over time. So that's the big picture here of Safety Cloud. That's what we do, and that's what we're focused on. We are privileged to work directly with groups like Mobilizz to ensure that fleets everywhere have access to this and that you can benefit from this protection immediately, and you don't have to take massive steps in order to actually gain access to that. So with that, I want to very quickly turn things over to Chris. You know, Chris, obviously Mobilizz customers, you're directly connected to what their concerns are, what their focuses are. I want to get a sense from you, how does Safety Cloud fit into, you know, this broader focus that Mobilizz has on safety?
Thanks, Brock, and thanks for that presentation. That was fantastic, and I think very, very informative. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, so Mobilizz is 100% focused on safety, safer roads for the community, and making our customers' fleets safer in general, and making just lives safer for their employees. So I think being able to have this tool to push out alerts using existing hardware already in the vehicles for our customers is really a no-brainer. I think it's really a matter of just flipping a switch, right? Like you said, and now all of a sudden, really overnight, so to speak, you know, your fleet can now become a lot safer, and your staff and your employees and your people become a lot safer. Now, we've had a few questions in the past around HAAS alerts to say, especially when it relates to public safety, and in particularly law enforcement. So police fleets with, you know, in Ontario, for example, when they're running a drive program, so a drunk driving type of program, they don't want to obviously be alerting drivers in advance that they happen to be on the side of the road running this type of program. So is it possible to really specify which vehicles this works for, or which ones it's not going to be working for? Let's say if a fleet does have their entire fleet connected to the light bar, but they want to segment out some vehicles.
Excellent question, and you're absolutely right. I mean, what we find is that every segment of roadway responder kind of comes at this topic from a different angle. And law enforcement in particular, their use case requires a little bit more flexibility and customization around the alerting experience. So to answer your question, absolutely. So the great thing about Safety Cloud Digital Alerting is that we tether this to whatever the customer wants to be their sort of alerting trigger. And for law enforcement fleets in particular, typically they pick a particular light pattern or a particular code that they want to run, where they want full protection. So when I have this on, I want lights on, I want alerts out, I want the whole thing. Some law enforcement fleets then want to be able to turn on their lights, but not have it alert. Sometimes they want to turn on their alert, but not have their lights on, right? And so depending upon the fleet, depending upon the use case, we work hand in hand, whether through the integration partner or directly with a group like Mobilizz, to ensure that that fleet has the alerting experience that they need for their unique use case.
Terrific. So yeah, that's great customization that you can do then. We did have one question come in. When a police vehicle puts lights on, what size geographic area will vehicles in that area be alerted?
Yeah, excellent question. And this is one of the important things to know about Safety Cloud. So Safety Cloud is not doing what you might call radial alerting. This is not focused on a flat geographic area. What we're doing is we're actually analyzing the underlying roadway network and saying to ourselves, who are the drivers that actually need to receive this alert? So I'll give you an example. If you imagine a divided highway, right? You have traffic traveling northbound here, you have traffic traveling southbound here, and your police vehicle is on the northbound side with its lights on and you're at a stop. Well, you don't want to alert the southbound traffic, right? Because the southbound traffic is not going to directly intersect with your hazard. They're not supposed to slow down and move over. They just need to keep going. And so we know that. And so we are only delivering alerts to drivers who are actively approaching your incident on the right side of the road. In terms of distance, the distance is going to vary based on the speed of the roadway network. We're actually focused on time. So our focus is on getting those alerts to drivers about 30 seconds before they reach you. And so if you're on a highway and people are traveling at 70 miles an hour, 30 seconds might equate to half a mile. If you're on a rural road and people are traveling at 15 or 25 miles an hour, 30 seconds might be a quarter of a mile. And so we're focused on drivers having enough time rather than using a sort of an arbitrary distance in order to provide that protection.
Terrific, great, thanks, Brock.
Absolutely.
And so I do know with the Waze integration that you have, I was told that there's some customization that can be done with regards to the actual messages themselves. Could you just elaborate on that a little bit?
That's right. Yeah, let me pull up my handy dandy PowerPoint here. So you'll see here this message, the road assist vehicle on scene, slow down and move over. This is one of the great things that we can do on Waze is that message is fully customizable. So for instance, a lot of private fleets, a lot of tow fleets, typically they use that message as an opportunity to not only say slow down and move over, but they actually do a little self-promotion. They might say, you know, Joe's towing on scene, please slow down and move over. Or they might just say, you know, hazard vehicle ahead, please be cautious, right? So we actually give you the opportunity at the fleet level to determine what the message is that you want to deliver through that particular platform. One of the really exciting things about digital alerting is this is an entirely new frontier, both for navigation applications and also for everyday, I should say, consumer automotive manufacturers. And so Stellantis vehicles, the Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and Chrysler vehicles, you guys saw what those alerts look like. They pop up, they have that message, and it's going to be unique to the type of vehicle. There are some automakers that are going to put that in the instrument cluster. So they might just want like a slow down, move over light. Some of them might have the steering wheel vibrate and do haptic feedback. So this is an entirely new frontier for them in terms of creating a customer experience that not only makes the driver safer and the responder safer, but also helps them sort of flex, you know, what their car is capable of. And so we've actually heard from some automakers that they may explore that kind of custom messaging in their own systems in the future too. But that is one of the great things about Waze messaging is that that's customizable, and we defer to the fleet for that message.
Terrific. Yeah, that's very exciting. I had no idea about some of the other options available now.
Yeah.
Coming down the road with the OEMs.
It's very exciting stuff. Yeah.
Message. So I think in terms of overall, improving the safety of your fleet, improving the safety of your staff and personnel, I've never seen a product like HAAS Alerts that's able to deliver such an impact so quickly and most importantly, so easily, just utilizing the hardware that already exists on our customer fleets with all of the light bar integrations that they've done. So I think this really is a no-brainer, and all the data and the statistics that you provided really goes to show how quickly of an impact this can really have on improving the safety and improving the lives of your staff and just the community in general. So I want to thank you for your time today, Brock. That was fantastic. I think it was very informative for all of our customers and attendees today. And if anybody does have any questions or wishes to discuss this further or just explore testing this out on some of your vehicles, certainly please get in touch and I can provide you with any further information, or we can set up a meeting directly with HAAS Alerts to dive into this further. So once again, Brock, thank you very much for your time, and thank you everyone today for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your week and long weekend.
Thanks so much, Chris. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
No problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.